Welcome to 52 Weeks of Hope, Maureen.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into this. So you're an expert and partnered with Goop Health and Hay House. You help people heal from family wounds and find blocks in their family system. Your clients get to the root of their pain and heal themselves, and generations before and after them, which I definitely want to talk about the after them. And that all sounds incredible, but I never even heard of family constellations therapy until I started researching you. So first and foremost, I need you to explain that. Now I know what that is, but I need you to explain that.
So family constellations helps you to heal from your family story. Like our entire life is actually impacted by your own family story or childhood or parents. And when we don't understand where we came from, we might, repeat the same patterns, behaviors, situations over and over again. So in order, to finally break free and write your own story, embrace your own destiny, family constellations will help you unlock yourself, and finally make peace with your family, with your past, with anything, that you were unable to understand at that time. And finally, as an adult, you have the power. It's in your hands to make peace with it.
Okay. That sounded like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But this would be like with your family.
Exactly.
Kind of, I don't know. How do you even know that that's happening? I guess it's all unconscious, or?
It's unconscious, first of all. But the best way to know that you are entangled with your family system, it's when, after working on yourself, weeks after weeks, months, years, you are still stuck in the same pattern, like you are still repeating the same situations, the same shitty relationship, or like you cannot still receive. Honestly, 90% of the time, look at your story. Look at your family story, because this is where your answers actually are waiting for you. So that's how you know when your family is in between you and your own life.
And if not, you can look at your friend and be like, you have complained about the same thing for a decade now. Exactly. Or you've dated that same person over and over and over again. I think you've got some family constellation stuff happening there. So how did you get into this? I know you have a psych background anyway, but how did you do a switch or make a jump and get into this?
So I was going to become a psychologist back to Paris. This is where I studied psychology. And at the end of my studies, I decided to move to America. And I was in Miami at first. And that's when I got introduced to family constellations. And at that time, I was getting a divorce with my first husband. And I was not in an easy place. It was very dark. And I could not understand why I kept choosing, like the violent one, the possessive one, like unhealthy relationships. And so my first time doing a family constellation workshop, I was like, wow, I would have never thought about the influence, like on my family story, on my love life. And at that moment, after 30 minutes of work, I was like, wow, I can work with that. It completely makes sense, like finally, it felt aligned with where I was at, like in my life and everything. And I guess it was, falling in love with family constellations. And so I started working on myself again, like through family constellations. And after a few months, I was like, okay, I want to do that. I don't want to be a psychologist anymore. I want to do family constellations. So that's how it happened.
So that was clearly your path. I mean, for you to happen into that, I mean, I've been for years, decades now, like manifestation, like there's certain things that have been put in my path for decades now, and I've never heard of this. So that was clearly your path. So, I mean, that's just so interesting. So you start along this path, and I mean, you have to run into plenty of people that have never heard of this. If I've been in this world for this long and haven't heard of this, you have to run into people all the time that have never heard of it.
All the time. But I have to say, for the past year, 2 years, it has been more, like on the spotlight, thanks to Goop. at first because on Netflix there is a Goop documentary, and one of the episodes is all about family constellations, actually. And then there is also the Turkish show on Netflix, Another Self, and it's all about family constellations too. And there is this new trend to work on your family system, to rewrite your story, to finally make peace with your ancestors. So slowly but surely, family constellations is finally getting, like the attention that I think it deserves.
I mean, it makes sense. And you're right. There's a lot of different things. I don't know if it's trends or what, or it gets more press, and maybe being locked up for a couple of years, people taking more of a look at things. Yeah, probably. I mean, you're doing all kinds of workshops. You're all over, I mean, in New York. And so who do you treat? I mean, how is it? Mostly women? Is it men? Is it everyone?
It's everyone, Lauren. Like I work like 70% with women, 30% with men. Again, since COVID, actually, I've been working more with male clients.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. So were you able to break your pattern? I mean, okay, you get out of this dark period and you're introduced to this, you start working with this. How many times have you been married?
Twice.
And I don't care if you're married or not, but it's like, and it's all, look, this life is a learning process. It's all a path, and it's all uncovering the onion. Because my daughter had me start White Lotus. Did you see it?
Yes, I just finished it.
She had me start with episode 5 of season 2. Okay. That's because she was home. And anyway, so by the time I went backwards, so I saw episode 5 of season 1, where she's talking about peeling the onion. And I just, dating. And she said, Belinda asks, how was your date? And she said, it was good. She said, but I don't want to go through him seeing all my different layers. I just want to get to the center of the onion. I just want him to see all my crazy. And that is my favorite scene ever. I was like sending that to my daughter. So now I want to watch the rest. That to me was it. So that's life. We peel the onion, you get to the crazy, and you move on, work on it, feel your feelings. And like that to me, that's life.
I love that show, first of all, so I hope you will enjoy it, Lauren.
Yeah, I'm done. I've seen the whole thing. Now I want to watch it again because I hadn't seen that scene yet, and it just changed everything. Anyway, I love that scene.
And I think Tanya is right. Like when you can fall in love with the ugliness, the shadow of your partner, I think you are good for a lifetime. Because it's easy to fall in love with the beauty, with the first few months, a passion, we are sexy, we're flirty, like everything is light. But then, you start digging more and you start learning about that person. You're like, oh, hold on a minute here. That's what I didn't sign up for this. So I think it's always better to show up as you are in your imperfection. So then, it can give the opportunity to your partner to just know the true you.
Yeah. When you really work on yourself and you start dating and dating can be fun. People are like, oh, you're yourself. And I'm like, well, who else did you expect to be? I've been married we've been together a long time. It's not like I'm dating, but I was always like, well, who did you expect to show up? And I'm like, okay. And it's true. So doing the work. So somebody is listening to this and they say, that's me. All right, I got that. What should they do? Because you can't work with everyone. What are some first steps they should do besides buy your book? And I'll have links to your book and all of that.
So yes, they can definitely buy my book. I think it's a great way to start somewhere. Yeah. Then the question is, you have to identify, like the pattern, the recurring pattern. And like, for example, dating emotionally unavailable men, or like having eating disorders, or like addictions, or hard for you to get pregnant, maybe. Like we can work on anything, okay? Your anxiety, work, money. Then what you can do on your own without even buying my book, you can just draw your family tree on 3 generations, I would say. Like your generation with your siblings, your parents' generation, and then your grandparents' generation.
Does it matter if you knew your grandparents, or it doesn't even matter? Just draw. Just put. Okay.
It doesn't matter at all. Whatever you know about your family is more than enough to do the work. And you can always ask maybe your parents or one of your uncles or aunts, like maybe they will have more information to give you. But then, you can write down, okay, where was my grandmother born? in America, in Greece. Oh, okay, she was born in Greece. So my mom is the first generation born in America. And then, like you can just like, like the game Clue, where you have to find clues, who murder who and everything. That's kind of the same thing here. You are looking for clues, coming from your family system in order to better understand your own life. Where does it match? Oh, yes, my mom had 2 miscarriages. I had 1. Or my grandfather was an addict. My father is an addict. My brother is an addict. Oh, here, there is an addiction line. And then, like you can finally see that, first of all, you are part of a systemic dynamic here. Okay. You belong to it. And why you are repeating the same pattern is only a question of belonging. As a human being, we want to belong. We want to be seen, heard, and recognized by our family at first.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever it takes, we will do it on a subconscious level, of course, but we want to belong. So if my family has addictions, yes, there is a bigger chance that I'm going to be an addict. If my family is, I don't know, like struggling with money, yes, I might struggle with money. Or if I make a lot of money, I may self-sabotage myself from making a lot of money. And again, it's all about this subconscious loyalty towards our family system. So when you finally sit down, drawing your family tree, you can see actually like everything, is connected. And you can start acknowledging that I am part of a bigger thing in my life. And I can belong by being healthy, by being abundant. That will be my gift to my family. And that's when things start finally shifting.
That's good. So when you see all of that, how do you move on or let go or recognize maybe you don't have a lot of information and maybe it's not, well, I guess it's finance and romance are the 2 big things always, right?
Trauma too. Trauma.
Yeah.
Is also a big thing. But what you can do, it's as simple as it sounds, it's just recognizing what happened in your family. Because the thing is, I'm talking about my generation, born in the 80s. I think we are the first generation doing a deeper work on ourselves. And we want to talk more. We don't want to be afraid of our emotions anymore. Like my mother is a businesswoman, but she was creating this new businesswoman, like born in the 60s. Like finally, I want my career, I want my money. And I also want to decide if I want children or not. So us, born in the 80s, 90s, I think we did open that new door of working on ourselves on a spiritual level, well-being level. And the common theme in a family system is we don't talk about what happens. We keep it as a secret. We are not going to tell our children that we had a miscarriage before you. We are not going to talk to our children we want to get divorced or like mommy is sad, like we do not even express our true emotions to our kids because we're afraid that our kids are going to be scared, like in return to our emotions. Well, actually, this is the opposite. The more you communicate with your children, the more you give them permission to be themselves and to explore their emotions, the less they will be scared of it. So then they do not have to try drugs or drink too much or, like.
It's so true. And I always say that I didn't grow up. I still like Google feelings chart so that I know what my feelings are. So I can say I was always so impressed because I'm your mom's generation. So but my daughter is the next generation down. Mm-hmm. I started late. So you're in the middle. And but I'm thinking because I have stepkids and they're your generation, I'm thinking, do they speak in feelings? And I'm like, they're too busy. They're so busy. They don't listen to this, do they? Anyway, I'm like, they're not that spiritually. I mean, they're used to me, of course, but they're just too busy to breathe. So I'm always so impressed that my kids know their feelings and they speak them, and I'm still on the feelings chart because we didn't grow up with feelings. And so, yeah, it's all very interesting to me.
It's very important.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm just like taking this all in. And I just think every family dynamic is probably so different. I think everyone should talk feelings. I interviewed a rabbi who's older than me who grew up talking feelings, and I was so impressed. I just think every family is different, because once I got the hang of things, then I'm like, oh, yeah. I mean, I know the difference now between a physiological feeling and an actual feeling. But it took me a long time, and I've been doing this a while now, so I get it. To actually sit in your feelings, and I've been meditating for so long now that I also am much more in touch. So, what are tools that you teach? Because I know that you also, I saw you have meditations online, and you have affirmations also. You it looks like, I wasn't sure if you had breath work, but my big tools are meditation, journaling, breath work, and affirmations. And it seemed like you had most of those yourself.
Well, for my clients, you mean, Lauren, or for myself?
For yourself.
For myself.
What do you use? And then we'll see what the biggest tools are.
So what I love breath work. I did a lot of breath work actually in 2020 with the COVID situation. It tremendously helped me to navigate actually the heavy feelings. But what I like doing is connecting with nature. I love walking, and sometimes I can meditate while walking, but that's my thing. I also love dancing. I love, like the unity between my mind, body, and spirit. I love including the three of them all together. So dancing, cooking, working out, walking in nature, swimming in the ocean, because I live in Miami, so I'm very lucky to have a wonderful weather. But also making love with my partner, like having a beautiful intimacy with my man is also something that I cherish a lot. And I think you can also learn so much. Acupuncture. I love acupuncture. I'm a big on acupuncture. But yeah, and I love trying. I'm very curious about any new modalities, therapies.
Yeah.
So, I check with myself, and I'm like, okay, I would love to dive deeper into my feminine. What could I do? Like a warm massage, or like a woman's circle. Like, I love, checking on everything. That's
It
my
seems like you have more women's circles down there in Florida, which is surprising to me. Everyone I know in Florida seems to have more women's circles.
We
there.
do, actually. We
Yeah.
do. We are not only on the about parties, but we're also we actually meet at the beach, especially for new moon and full moon.
Yeah, that's exactly what I have a friend. She's a podcaster, and that's where she does them, down there. So it was like, oh, we must have them in LA.
We're on it. We're on the spiritual vibe.
Yeah, and I think everyone thinks LA. I'm like, no, I don't really.
Well,
Colorado and down in Florida, which the Florida part surprised me. Colorado, not so much. So.
Miami, we have been having much more healers actually coming from LA now. So a few of my friends are here. They also moved to Austin, actually, but everything has changed, I would say, for the past 2 years. So
yeah, I agree. So what would you tell somebody that okay, they start working on this, and now what is the first form of healing you would have them start doing?
Honestly, it's not to sell my thing, but everything starts with your family.
Yeah.
It's your first, again, systemic dynamic, so if you really want to heal on a deeper level and not only on a surface, because some people also sell, the magic pill, do a 4 days training and then you're completely healed. No, that's bullshit. That's crap. Let's think about this. But I think when you start understanding where you came from, you can feel more grounded in your present moment. And then you can decide on your future. And of course, you can work with a business coach or a life coach, or do ceremonies or try, ayahuasca if you would like it has become popular. But I think before doing all of those types of modalities, working on your family, on your past, on your childhood, having a relationship with your inner child will be the wise step for me to start.
What's the hardest challenge that you've ever gone through, and how did you get through it?
Losing my best friend. It happened in 2019. He killed himself. So it was completely unexpected. And it took me a few years to really heal from it. So what helped me In family constellations, like we practice a lot. I trust your life. I trust you. So it's a respect, like towards each other's destinies. And I think that's what helped me the most to make peace with that. Because I was also sexually abused at the age of 13 years old. And I finally worked on it like in my early 20s. But compared to the pain that I felt when I lost my best friend, it was nothing compared to.
Thank you for sharing that. How do you deal with loneliness? I think that's a really hard one.
Loneliness. That's a very good question, Lauren, actually. I think, and I feel lonely, even so,
Yeah,
you're surrounded.
right. I mean, people think, oh, if I'm in a relationship, I won't be lonely. And it's not true.
Not true at all.
Grief is lonely. Grief is something that you can be in a grief group. You can be surrounded by grief is a lonely experience anyway, but it's not just that. You can be lonely in a room full of people. Yeah.
I completely agree with you, Lauren. And for me, loneliness, it's when my inner child, my little girl, needs me more. And I used to push her away, like, hey, come on, sweetie, you know what? Like, let's have a party. Let's call my mom, like, let's distract ourselves, like from the loneliness, because I don't want to deal with it. But it comes back. That's a magic as a human being. It always comes back, The teaching is here. No, I'm not going anywhere. And I finally, and actually thanks, I guess, to my best friend, I finally made the conscious choice to sit with my little girl feeling lonely. And I was like, okay, tell me what's going on. Tell me the pain, tell me the hurt. And anytime I'm going to feel lonely again, Lauren, the only things that I do is I go to nature again, walking on the beach, but just on my own. And I'm just like, you know what? We're just going to have a walk together. And whatever, has to come up, we're just going to take care of it.
I always love the hand on the heart and this belongs. And to feel it, we have to feel our feelings or it's going to come out as trauma someplace else anyway. I don't want to end up sick. I'm healthy. I'm always like, I'm healthy. Yeah. And I know I'm lucky. When you tell people this is what you do, what's the most common question you get asked?
What is it?
Yeah. Okay. It's not just me. Yeah.
And then but you are not analyzing us right now. No, don't worry. Like, I'm off. You know what? Like, I don't know. Anytime you say I'm a psychologist, it's like, so what do you think of me? I'm like, I don't care. You know what? Like, I'm not working right now. So whatever you want to do, just do it. Like,
that's funny. That's really funny. How do you celebrate wins for yourself? Like any kind of victory?
I dance. I do the victory dance, Lauren.
Yay.
And I'm pretty sure I'm going to spoil myself. I love gifting myself, little things here and there, crystal. And I also congratulate myself. I'm like, thank you so much. Thank you, my angels. Yeah, grateful for it.
Yay. I love that. Yeah. Do you have a message of hope you want to give?
Yes. Whatever you are going through right now, it never lasts. We think it's going to last forever, but that's not true at all. Everything shall pass at some point. So just trust the process.
Yay. That's my message. I love that. Yeah. Oh, I so love that. Is there anything else that I didn't ask that you feel like you want to say? We'll be done. You'll be like, Lauren didn't ask me this.
I just want to say that if you're interested in doing a family constellations, you can do it, of course, in a workshop setting, but there is also private sessions and even remotely. So do not feel scared, that maybe you do not know a facilitator or therapist living in the same town as you, because thanks to Zoom and internet, like we're all connected. So yeah, I think just to share the message here.
Yeah, and we are all connected, which I just love. And all the links and everything will, of course, be in the show notes and on the website and everything. It'll be very easy to get in touch. So thank you so much for being a guest today on 52 Weeks of Hope.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you.
Yeah.